There are several things in the story of
Complex.
Abraham where Abraham does something that doesn't make sense to the rest of us. Like, why in the world would you choose to do that? In all of this stuff that happens to the patriarchs, especially the really strange stuff, is prophetic of something that's going to happen to Israel or the Messiah or both. And I had talked about the two times where Abraham says that Sarah is my sister, and she's taken into the house of a foreign king, and in Egypt, he's exiled from the promised land, this time by a famine. But some calamity happens. Abraham is exiled to a foreign land. While he's there, he temporarily repudiates his wife, says she's not my wife. She's taken into the house of a foreign king. So, oppressed in a way. That foreign king then suffers because of his oppression of Sarah, and he then lets her go, and she leaves with great wealth. Then a few years later, he does the same thing with the Philistine
Gerar?
king. Might have been Gerar. Was with the king Abimelech. And he does the exact same thing. The details are a little bit different because in Egypt, Pharaoh, it doesn't say that God spoke to Pharaoh or gave him any kind of message. It just says that he afflicted the house of Pharaoh with plagues. So Pharaoh figures it out. And so he goes to Abraham and said, why did you do this to me? Take her and go. He says, get out of the land.
Yeah.
And so Abraham leaves and goes back to the promised land. But Gerar is in the promised land already. So when Abimelech takes Sarah into his house, God speaks to him directly and says, you better give him his wife back because he's a prophet. And if you don't, I'm going to wipe you and everybody you know off the map. You are all going to die. It's way worse than what God told Pharaoh. And so he goes to Abraham and said, why did you do this to me? He gives Sarah back to Abraham with great wealth again, but he doesn't say, get out of the land. He says, live here at peace with us. So I think that these two episodes are prophetic of, first, the exile of Israel, the northern kingdom of Israel. They are exiled because of a calamity. They're invaded by Assyria. They are taken into captivity into the house of a foreign king where they are scattered to the wind, like Pharaoh saying, get out of here. So they're scattered to the wind, so much so that they've lost their identity, most of them. A lot of them went south into Judah. A lot of them probably kept their identity until Judah was exiled and they merged with those communities. But most of them were scattered all over the world. The second one is Judah. They have another calamity. Babylon invades, captures Jerusalem, captures the country, exiles the people of Judah. But eventually, they're not scattered all over the world so that they forgot their identity. They're scattered all over the world, but they're also told to go back to the land. So Pharaoh tells Abraham and Sarah, get out of here. Doesn't tell them where to go, just says, get out of here, which I think is prophetic of Ephraim being scattered to the winds. Abimelech tells them, get out of my house, but stay here in the land, which I think is prophetic of Babylon, or Persia by that time, actually, sending them back to the land and saying, okay, get out of my house, stay in the land. And they never really did return in full to the land. They stayed in exile. The Jews to this day are mostly still in exile. And so, so then we get to the Akedah, and Abraham is going up the mountain with Isaac. I think in this case, we've got Isaac as the Messiah. Abraham is in the place of God. So God is taking his son up to the mountain and going to offer him as a burnt offering for the people, because a burnt offering is an atonement. It's not a sin sacrifice. It's different. Just like Yeshua wasn't exactly a sin sacrifice. It was a different kind of atonement. Sin sacrifice in Torah cleanses the flesh. It's not for the removal of sin from your soul. Yeshua is a different kind of offering. He's not a burnt offering, but he is an elevation offering, which he hinted at when he said that he had to be lifted up.
Which is an Allah.
Right. And so he's an atonement, but this kind of atonement is one that removes sin completely. completely from your soul, not from your flesh. So we still have uncleanness and this kind of stuff on earth, which is why we still keep the commandments, because it still has an impact on us, even if we're forgiven. And Abraham puts the wood on him, just like Yeshua carries his cross up the hill. Yeshua turns to him and says, Father, what are you doing to me? It's not exactly what he says. He says, Father, where's the lamb for the offering? I'm sorry, what?
You said Yeshua.
Oh, yeah, I meant Isaac. Isaac, Yeshua.
Yeah.
In this story, kind of the same thing. And Yeshua turns to the Father and says, Father, why have you forsaken me? And, he's obviously quoting a psalm. He's not saying that God has actually forsaken him. But both of these men have gone willingly at their Father's command. The Father is giving up his son because he knows he's going to be resurrected. And Hebrews tells us this, that Abraham understood. He knew that even if he went through with it and killed Isaac, drained his blood and burned him up, that he would be resurrected. And of course, God stops him because he doesn't want child sacrifice or human sacrifice of any kind. Isaac probably wasn't a child at this point. But the whole thing, every step, there's so many connections to the story of Calvary. He goes up the hill with two unidentified men. Just like at Calvary, he's got two men crucified side by side. Now, Abraham's two servants, they weren't going to be offered as burnt offerings, but they're accompanying him. He goes on a donkey, or there's a donkey that goes with them at least. Yeshua enters Jerusalem on the donkey just a few days before he is crucified.
Yeah, and wasn't it a 3-day journey from where they stopped?
3-day journey. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so over and over again, all of these connections. One reason that the rabbis frequently don't see Yeshua in these stories is because you can see Israel also. I mean, Israel is sort of killed when they are exiled.
Yeah.
And they're promised a resurrection. Ezekiel's dry bones. That's not about Yeshua's resurrection. That's about the resurrection of the nation of Israel.
But doesn't it also say that a veil remains on their eyes while Moses is read to this day?
Mm-hmm.
That veil still remains?
Yep. Yeah, they can talk about it and talk about all of these prophecies about the Messiah.
That they're still looking for.
Yeah, and still not see it.
But what's great is that they're still looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other side. Is like if they're still looking for him, that's good. It's if they stop looking for him, and some, I'm sure some have, obviously.
Yeah, I always go back to the story of Joseph on this topic. How Joseph's brothers all come to him because they need salvation, but all they know is this foreign guy, and so they come to him begging for mercy, and they have no idea that they're talking to their own brother.
Oh, that's good.
Because he looks Egyptian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's speaking Egyptian. He's wearing Egyptian clothes. And he starts weeping, and then he tells them who he is. And then the Egyptians are in the other room wondering, like, what in the world is going on? We don't understand. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be the same thing at the end with the Jews and Christians. The Jews are going to say, oh, now we get it. And the Christians are all going to say, who the heck is this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll say he looks too Jewish. He looks too Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
And some will not see him or deny him because of that. It'll be kind of the opposite of what it was when he came the first time.